Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. We're doing another one of these. It's the 5 count. I'm John Edwards, aka Ham Bennett, and that is Big George, aka Tyreek Hill, and we are here to talking sports. George, how are you? How's everything in Texas?
You know, Texas is starting to heat up, so I think this is the time of year where we start to kind of get happy again, slowly coming into the warmer months. So I'm happy about that. But you know, winter hasn't been fun for many folks. How are things in Canada?
Oh, looks like as I like to say, my new favorite one looks like the back of Mike Tyson's limo in 1989. It's just white snow everywhere. It's ridiculous. We got a big, huge dump today. And I came out. My car was like it was up to, I don't know. It was probably a few feet of snow. But you know, it's not super cold. So that's nice. But we're here. We're talking sports. And George, we're gonna kick it off. I guess we'll start off as everyone knows, judging by the jersey. We're both Chiefs fans. Some news today in NFL free agency. The legendary greatest quarterback that's ever lived, Patrick Mahomes, restructured his contract, creating $43 million in cap space, George. We're almost getting there. We're still in the ditch a bit, but we're getting out of it. So what do you think about, to me, the earliness, like they usually do this around March, and they did it like mid-February. I think they mean business. I think they really want to retool this team.
The one thing about retooling this team is going to take a lot more money because I feel like there's a lot of spots that we got to fill. But
I think we're going to get it, though. I think we'll see it.
We'll get the money, and I think that's not just going to come out of nowhere. It's going to be some restructures, there's going to be some cut downs, and there's going to be some positions that are going to be probably filled and then not really feel like you want them to. Let me say that.
Yeah, I mean, no one's ever going to be happy in Chiefs Kingdom. Like everyone second guesses everything. I mean, but I tell you what, I'm excited. I think with picking 9th, I think there's a good opportunity. I mean, I really think there's an opportunity maybe to trade some guys, get some more picks. I really think we got to go with youth a bit in Kansas City. But obviously, and last week I think we talked about it, Tyreek Hill, or maybe we didn't. I don't know when it happened, but Tyreek Hill, obviously a free agent. He's coming off like a really bad knee injury, so that's not going to be good. But I think he finds his way back to Kansas City at some point, see what he's got, see what he has. Probably, I just think it's that's where to me that's probably where it's headed, and it's going to be a mixed bag depending, But like, I think we have to make sure we realize this is a dude who's coming off a knee injury. Expectations, mine aren't supremely high, but I think he finds his way back.
My thing about the whole Tyreek Hill situation is that it's almost like a weird trade-off if you want to count what's actually happening right now with some of the receivers that are on Chiefs roster. Because at one point in time, if you remember, we were looking for somebody to replace Tyreek because he was having off-the-field issues. Now we're looking to face somebody else who's having some issues on the outside, and then now we have Tyreek that we're looking to kind of come in and fill another void. So it's like, what weird ass universe do we live in to where this is how it actually has to go? But I think that, given what the landscape is, and I think that, with the Chiefs actually coming into this particular season, not necessarily having a solidified roster unless you play quarterback, it's kind of like one of those situations where, like, who's going to be stuck where, and you kind of have to pencil in everybody else. And I'm not mad about Tyreek coming in. No. It's just my thing is I feel like we should be looking at another Dolphin in my eyes. Bradley Chubb is also a free agent as well, so you kind of have to look at what our pass rush is doing. You can go younger on the offensive side, I feel, because I feel like younger offenses actually succeed more, and then older defenses kind of succeed more as well. And that's just my opinion. It could be totally wrong. Y'all could be like, oh, this is stupid shit to say. But that's like, you got Terrell Suggs who comes in off the sidelines, who kind of comes in. Like, those older players do bring another veteran level to, what you actually have. And we do have some defensive players who are young who can kind of get a little bit of experience as far as, just knowing how to play a little bit different.
I'm not against it. I just think I think we need to. I don't think it. I think we still need help there, even if we did sign him. Because I think we definitely still need I think the draft pick. Everybody, if we're the Chiefs, it's definitely probably defense line. Or a lot of people were banging that safety. A lot of Caleb Downs. Yeah, a lot of people banging that drum. Which again, I think they probably go defense. But it's going to be interesting. Like the NFL offseason, especially in Kansas City, is going to be interesting because there's a lot of factors. I think we're going to see a huge turnover on the roster. I think there's going to be a lot of people that new folks we bring in, and that's how it's going. And I don't have a problem with that. That's the business, right? Like you turn players over. You got you didn't make the playoffs. You got to figure out something new. But
I would like to label this year's Chiefs team the Chiefs Redeemed team because last year's team was definitely not that. I think the one thing about last year's team was we didn't really know who the Chiefs were as far as what they were dragging out there. And I feel like it was kind of like, in my mind, not necessarily a leftovers year because it kind of seemed like the worst hangover ever. That's kind of what it was.
I just think there are a few factors. Injuries, I think, played a role. I think they were tired. Like a lot of those guys have played into, a lot of football over the last few years. That's got to take a bit of a toll. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I think, they think there was proven there's some coaching issues. Like we needed to upgrade a bit on the coaching staff because changes were made. Like it's not like I'm not being super critical, but obviously changes were made for a reason. So, and I think we'll see where we go from here. I think, we'll see what happens with Pat and how he comes back. I'm just following that guy's career the way we have. I'm like, that guy's not going to want to half-ass it.
No.
If he's coming back to fucking win. That's his mantra. That dude is committed. So I'm not worried about him. He's going to be ready.
And I don't think that there's teams or there's fans that would say, oh, we need to go ahead and wait till next season. What the fuck do you want me to do for 365 days while I'm sitting here wasting my life for next season? What the fuck kind of shit is that?
No,
play ball.
Coming.
I put it to you like this. You don't know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Just like this year, you had the Seattle Seahawks, who nobody actually counted as a playoff team in the beginning of the year. And then you had the New England Patriots, who hung everything on Drake Bay over the offseason. And not saying that they didn't live up to expectation, but they actually lived up to an expectation that nobody else is. I
didn't expect them to make the Super Bowl.
Exactly. They didn't. Nobody thought they were going to make the Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, that's who we had.
It was a down year, though, for kind of the more traditional powers the last few years of the AFC. Like Baltimore didn't have a good year. We didn't have a good year. Buffalo didn't have a good year.
But the thing about the
Cincinnati hasn't had a good year since they made the Super Bowl. Come on. Who they? They ain't a playoff team. They ain't been, and they got a lot of turnover happening too. So I think, and some other teams got better. But if I'm the NFL, I'm certainly not. I keep my eye on what's happening in Missouri because, and there's a lot of skepticism for people who really follow this team and are really and I'm just like I'm not as high strung as that. I'm just I think we got good management, good coaching, and I think we got good players, and I think we're going to figure it out. But I am so excited to see what they do with the draft. I'm so excited to see what they do in free agency. But that was kind of the big news of the day in free agency. George, you and I were talking about the NBA All-Star game happened this past weekend. The only thing I saw was Scotty Barnes hit a game winner. But the All-Star format, I think they tried to make a change with this international thing because the NHL last year, for the first year, did the Four Nations face-off where they did away with the All-Star game, and they did for a week. They did best on best for the four best, and it was unbelievable. In Canada versus USA, the first thing they dropped the puck, three guys dropped the gloves and just started going, to show, hey, we're committed to this. I think the problem with the All-Star game as of late is I just don't think anybody's committed to it. Like it used to be a bit of a, I remember the video from The Last Dance where Larry Bird says, "We're going to play it. We better win. Might as well win it. Try and win it." Like that's the attitude. And now I don't. Players don't want to play in games. So George, like, what would you do? My idea is like bring the legends back and let them like Bird, Magic, Isaiah, and Jordan. Say pick a team of 12 from any players. Don't let the fans vote. Take that away, and then put money on the line. Like every player gets $1 million. I mean, I know that's like chump change, but it's still $1 million. Like it's not, or they win it and they donate it to charity. Who knows? But I just think there's got to be a way you can get it more competitive.
I mean, the old landscape, it was nothing wrong with it. And I think that's what the issue is. It's still, now that you're in a new year, you think you have to change something that has not necessarily been changed over the years. And that's the problem with the NBA All-Star game. They kind of make it to where it's more of a, not necessarily a charitable event, but they kind of make it patty cake by making it, you're being able to be selected by your friends, and then the fans only select so much, and then the people, like, I feel like it's not really any structure to it, because you can change so much shit with the NBA All-Star weekend that it's literally like, what the hell am I looking at?
Even the dunk contest, like, I mean, it used to be, I remember when like Carter won the dunk contest. That was everywhere. That was bigger than the game. Like that meme's still getting used, and it's like 26 years later. And,
I mean, the dunk contest has not been, I feel like the year the dunk contest went out the window for a lot of people, and this is kind of not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily the best thing. The year that Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon had that dunk contest, when they went the fuck off, there was nothing topping that beyond that year, because they repeated, and then Aaron Gordon still didn't win. And I'm thinking to myself, at this particular point, you got to have somebody else to come out there and challenge, like, the narrative of the dunk contest. And the thing is, the dunk contest has been on and off for years, because let's face it, after a certain amount of dunks, humans can't do very much shit after that. So it actually comes into play where it comes into physical ability, what you can actually do in the air, some of the props you can jump over and shit like that. So I can see the dunk contest kind of being something that you really can't, move on unless you have better athletes. I feel like the thing about the dunk contest is what some NBA players have actually been saying over the week is that, and I disagree with this take, but at the same time, it's one of those takes that you kind of have to kind of put a little bit more context on. People say, oh, LeBron James kind of ruined the dunk contest by not competing, because everybody's like, oh, the best players competed in the dunk contest. Well, not really. I mean, D Brown was a good player, but at the end of the day, you don't remember D Brown for his stats. You remember him in the dunk contest.
Pumping that shit up. I bought the shoes. I had the pumps.
Exactly.
I was,
exactly. So it's not necessarily a competition thing for me. I just feel like the people who can actually dunk aren't dunking. Like, no one cares about it, because there is almost nothing that you win about being the best dunker in the NBA. Because one, 9 times out of 10, you'll never see that dunk in the game. And two, you'll never have the ability to get some of that stuff off. And the thing is, I feel like in those areas where you can project a little bit more, where you can do a little bit more of the exciting flair that comes with the basketball game or something like that, or a dunk contest, you can kind of go into that. Like, I just, it has its perks. I think the fact that they tried the USA versus World versus, thing, that I give it to y'all. Y'all trying something, but it's like
they're trying, but
the level of interest is not as well as it once was. And I feel like a lot of times we kind of go back to what the All-Star game used to be. And I think the main time, like, you kind of put a bracket on the All-Star game. You look at the one All-Star game where there was Kobe, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett. I mean, it was everybody who was anybody who could be damn near in that top 75. And I think that, at that particular point in time, you had so many good basketball players that it was kind of You had to force that all-star game to happen that way. You're never going to live up to that hype again because there are never going to be that many stars at that level at the same time. Like right now, you have Wemby, you have Anthony Edwards, you have LeBron James. Those guys are all over the scale as far as their ages and abilities. You still have LeBron James, who is 41 years old, pushing out at least 20 points, and I can take him on the over of 14, and a half rebounds and assists every game. So it's just like you have the players who have the talent, but it's just, we're not watching from a competitive standpoint.
I think we need to make it more competitive. But, I mean, the NBA, I also don't like that, like, NBA Cup either. I'm just like, don't borrow from soccer. Let's not do that. But speaking of something that's not soccer, I'm going to hop into this because this is my bailiwick, George. MMA, Ronda Rousey is back in the MMA cage. Like, I can't believe this. I'm like, Netflix is into what I call the freak show MMA. Not saying that Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano weren't top notch. They said they're pioneers, legit pioneers in MMA.
Legit pioneers in
100%. Very, very big pioneers. But I mean, like, they haven't fought in a combined 27 years. So let's see what we get. I know they're going to train hard and they're going to make a boatload of cash. Jake Paul's promoting the fight. Like, it's just insanity. I mean, but I'm interested to see what they do with an undercard. I really am. It's and Ronda said, well, she went to Dana, and I'm like, yeah, but I think what the UFC is doing right now, I don't know if that's necessarily what they're interested in. I think they're trying to, like, if they were to brought Ronda Rousey in, they'd want to put her against a contender, and I just, I think it's a fair fight in terms of they're both they've been out of the game for a long time, so. But that is interesting. Also, big in MMA this weekend, it's the UFC fight night. Sean Strickland, who went on a rant about Bad Bunny today, talking about, like, it's just Strickland says the wildest shit. He's going against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who's just a dog. If you don't watch MMA, my good friend of mine, Jake O'Reilly, who's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, says the greatest martial art is wrestling. And he's not wrong. That's the best martial art. You want to control people, if you want to dominate people, you learn how to be a wrestler, an amateur wrestler. Because some of the best MMA guys in the history of the sport are good wrestlers. So wrestling, Anthony, that's what this guy does. He wrestles. He's got cardio. So I think he's going to have a lot of people rooting for him because Strickland's kind of a dick. And but that's what's big in MMA. And then, George, you talk about it. Baseball pitchers and catchers. Spring training is here, right there. The 2026 World Series champion, Toronto Blue Jays. We're calling it right now.
Who is we? I'm going to do this because this is going to be my first. All right. So as we're doing our sports podcast now, I'm going to go ahead and make this announcement now because this is going to be the first legitimate year that I take into becoming a baseball fan. So the Texas Rangers, because I live in Dallas, I will definitely be taking on my fandom to the Texas Rangers. Don't quote me on this. I'll be watching almost every game. Almost, because of course, eventually I'll go to a couple. I have a couple plans going on, some games this year. So I'll tell you about my live experiences as I always do. But this is definitely one of those years where it's like, you know what? Let's open the book. Let's do something different. Let's kind of see exactly what the other sports have to offer. I'll be going to a Dallas Stars game this year as well, so we can see how that goes. Hockey is not. It's
nothing like live hockey.
It's not a black sport, but at the same time, I see a lot of people actually.
You'll appreciate it though.
So,
like I think I know Country Boy, our friend from the Kingdom Pass podcast, just took his son to the Kansas City Mavericks game, their first hockey game. When you get in there, I think you see it live, you see it close. You really get an appreciation for the athleticism. Because, like, nobody in any other sport can do it hockey. They were like, they had boxing as the hardest sport. I'm like, okay, how many boxers can skate? And how many boxers can skate fast enough to avoid a giant, huge monster trying to kill you. Like Moritz Seider from the Detroit Red Wings is 6'7" before he ever gets on skates. Like it's a really like the ability and the hand-eye coordination, like for guys to do what they do. The Olympic hockey was on today. Canada won. The United States won, which is great because that's what everybody wants to see. The U.S. against Canada, they're probably the two best teams. 3 games went to overtime. It was like good hockey. But yes, definitely we got to get you to a hockey game for sure.
Buy some Dallas Stars apparel. I'm doing the whole.
They got sweet jerseys. Jerseys. They got nice green jerseys. So George, we were talking about this before about some other guys, and we were mentioning about the dunk contest. There's something for you. If you have Prime, there's a new documentary series called Soul Power: The History of the ABA. It's a must watch. I've watched it. It's really good. It talks about the league and how it was formed and the whole deal. And I didn't know the Indiana Pacers were that good in the ABA. They were like won 3 championships.
And they were like the Pacers are one of those teams that kind of get buried because of the ABA not necessarily being as big as the NBA at one point.
Yeah.
And people didn't look at the ABA teams as big as those NBA teams. Well, when they had that merger, it kind of loses a little bit of the history. Yeah.
Well, but this doc goes into it about how at one time they were having games, exhibition games, and the ABA was kicking the shit out of the NBA.
Yeah.
Like it was like so. It's definitely a good watch. It really is. If you want to see a good, I love sports documentaries, and I was excited for that one. So George, we got a few minutes left. So I think we're going to dive into our top 5 tonight. I think we'll start off. Actually, we were going to discuss this. We can go a little bit long. We're going to discuss what if stories. We were talking about that today. What if? And one of my favorites is Penny. Because I loved him, is Penny Hardaway. I think Penny was man, if he and Shaq never broke up, would they have been Shaq and Kobe before Shaq and Kobe? Because Penny Hardaway was a dog, man. When he was in his prime, and I was, that was really when I was watching basketball because that was like the Jordan era and the whole that era. Those two guys, because he was a great perimeter player. He was unbelievable as a point guard. He was like the new Bo Magic Johnson because he was 6'8", 6'9", handled the basketball, passing wizard, and he was bigger than most guys guarding him. So, and then you throw it in Shaq, who was like, he's like, to me, the best center in the history of the game. I don't care what anyone says. You can, if you want to say Akeem, whatever, Shaq's the best. But what if George? Is there a what if story for you?
Oh, absolutely. What if Barry Sanders decides not to retire and decides to get traded instead? Like, think about 1999. What teams could have used a running back, and what teams had an offensive line?
Fuck what use a running back. What teams could use Barry Sanders? You're not talking about a running back. Yeah, anybody. There were like however many teams in the league they would have. But yeah, like that's a great one because to me he's the best. He's the best I've ever seen. He was like just so good, and he still had tread on the tires. But you gotta admire the guy for just saying, "Forget that, I'm done."
Yeah, I mean, it takes a real. A real athlete to kind of stay in the game as long as some of these athletes do and not win anything. And then the thing I feel like a lot of the LeBron haters would not admit is that he inspired a lot of motherfuckers to leave dead zones. A lot of teams were in dead zones, or a lot of players are in dead zones where they not necessarily will do great. They can make some money, but they won't do great because they'll sit there and be loyal to a team that not necessarily is helping them become better.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about, jumping ship that I'm not opposed to, but I also understand that there's a level of commitment that you were drafted to this team to go ahead and make this team better. So I get that. Mm-hmm. But there's the what if stories that kind of go forever. I mean, even
Bo Jackson. Megatron
is another one for me. I think that's one.
Fucking Detroit
they kind of do
broke
something.
Dudes. They broke dudes. It broke dudes.
Like Matthew Stafford as well. He's not necessarily a what if in the sense because I feel like he got out. It's
He
almost
did
like
it. When he left, he did it.
Prison Break. He left and went and got a championship because, of course, it's almost like, a guy breaking out of jail and finally getting to be free, and they found out he was innocent. Like, Matthew made it out. Tell Matthew I said hello. That's what Megatron and them are talking about from the depths of Detroit. So
Bo Jackson for me might be the biggest because, like, if he doesn't screw up his hip, he played baseball in an artificial hip, which is incredible. But he had a chance. I don't know if he would have got there, but he could have been a Hall of Famer in 2 sports. I mean, he probably would have been a Hall of Famer in football because that dude was a freak. Like, that guy's the freakiest of the freaks. Like, and so to me, it's like I wish we got a few more years of like healthy Bo Jackson. And another one that people talk about too, that they mentioned, I saw that I only know from the documentaries because I never saw him play, but was Joe Namath. Apparently, he really fucked up his knee in college, and like he was never healthy. And I think somebody on the documentary, one of the Football Life, that they said one of the terrible tragedies in American sports is that they never got to see a Joe Namath really healthy. So,
one player that is one of the biggest what ifs for me that people don't talk about enough, in my opinion, Greg Oden. People don't talk about how good Greg Oden actually was. Greg Oden gets slept on a lot simply because people didn't really get to see him play to his max potential at
his knees. Yeah.
His knees did him no justice going.
It just hurt to watch him walk. Like, he was a skilled player, but it hurt to watch him walk.
Like, I wanted to see Greg Oden be what
I wished him well, definitely.
Because I wanted to see what that was going to be because he was really phenomenal as a college basketball player. Like, the one thing about him is they had comparisons to Shaq, and it's so hard to get comparisons to certain players, but to be accurate to some degree, it's still hard to kind of be accurate. But Greg Oden was one of those players who had a lot of good tape that made him look really, really good when he was healthy.
Yeah.
So that's one of those what ifs that I feel like, that kind of falls under the radar. Because, like I say, you don't see the outcome or you can't really tell where his potential was going. It was just through the roof. And so that was one of the players that I felt like who would have went to the NBA for years. And he would have probably been Joel Embiid before Joel Embiid. But I feel like Joel Embiid, his potential is exactly where it is. He's not going to get any better than what he is. He's not going to get
stay healthy.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy. And he's, like I say, he's not going to be worse. It's just that, the best is what the best is now. So, hey, that's my what ifs.
All right. Well, George, the top 5 tonight, we're going to narrow this down. Top 5 fictional quarterbacks is the top 5 tonight.
Okay.
A great, I got a few here. So, George, hit me with your first top 5 fictional quarterback.
Shane Falco.
Shane Falco.
I'm going with Falco because Falco led a group of guys to a game that they wasn't even supposed to play. Like, half of them motherfuckers wasn't even supposed to be in the NFL. Most of them motherfuckers was inmates. Half of them motherfuckers was like just not necessarily great people. And I think that they kind of looked at them not necessarily as football players, but Shane Falco went out there with a bunch of guys and led them to win games and, be better than what they actually were when they actually had their celebrity superstar players in there. So I'm going Shane Falco number 1.
Well, I love The Replacements. It's actually one of the sports movies that Erin will watch. She really likes it. So, and I love Shane Falco, and it's also I think it's based on the Washington team in the 1987 NFL season when there was a strike because there was a documentary, 30 for 30 called Year of the Scab, and Earl Wilkinson, who was the guy who got pulled out of prison, Tony Robinson was a quarterback, I believe, Tennessee. And then he got busted with the drugs. He got but they allowed him to go out and play on the team, but he had to go back in. I love Shane Falco, obviously on the list. I'm going to go with an interesting pick. I think Joe Kane.
Joe
For the
Kane was
program. Joe Kane.
okay.
I think he was a Heisman candidate. He was the ultimate leader. That go put the women and children to bed and go search for dinner, boys. Just like do anything it needs to take to win quarterback. Joe Kane is for me on the list.
You know, funny enough, I would actually take Joe Kane in there, but I don't know where he ranks on this list. I just feel like because this list is definitely going to have some names.
We'll see. Yeah.
Because in my next pick, you know, you couldn't go very far down this list without seeing the name Willie Beeman.
Willie Beeman.
You know, he had a song and everything. Like,
he had a Metrex commercial.
Willie Beeman, I keep the ladies creaming, and all my fans be screaming. Like, who else had a song? Like, he was like the embodiment of a cocky quarterback that was really good on the field and really bad on the field at the same time. He was the perfect NFL quarterback, but at the same time, he was just, you know, very, very talented, very, very argumentative, you know, not necessarily willing to do what the coach asked at all times. It was just one of those situations where he had a really big arm and he knew what to do. It's just, you know, sometimes you got to fall in line and know the process. So I'm sticking Willie in there because, of course, Willie Beeman was definitely one of those quarterbacks that kind of led a bunch of wild motherfuckers to some championships. So, hey.
I like Willie Beeman. I definitely would put him on the list. And my next pick, George, is Paul Crewe from The Longest Yard. Yeah, I'll go with the Adam Sandler Paul Crewe.
Absolutely.
I think that's one more is my favorite. But NFL, he was an MVP, got put in the clink, led him to glory. You know, almost sold him down the river. But came back and won the big game. And so Paul Crewe has got to be on the list. So we have one spot left, George. I got a few names here.
We got to vote on this because I got a name here that I'm pretty sure that, you know, we're not thinking about, but, you know, he's definitely one of the better fictional football quarterbacks. But I would say from Remember the Titans, Sunshine.
That's not a fictional. He's a real person.
He's not real, John. His name was something else.
His name was Ronnie Bass. It's based on a true story. We're not doing based on a true story. No.
But he's a fictional quarterback in the sense of
he's not a fictional quarterback. No, he's not. I'm talking about ones that are pure fiction. It doesn't have any realism based on. That's the rule.
So most of these quarterbacks have realism based off of them.
No, they're based, but they're not like they're completely fictional. Remember, the Titans was based on a true story. A lot of those players are real people.
And
no, it's not like that. But they weren't real. They were characters. They weren't real people. Like Herman Boone was a real person. Like that's what I mean. He was an actual person. Like I'm talking about like John Moxon, Lance Harbor, Jack Lee, all fake. All fake.
Maybe Johnny Utah in Point Break.
Yeah.
He wasn't real.
No, he was a fake one. Yeah, you could. Paul Blake from Unnecessary Roughness.
That's a good one.
I would put Moxon in.
Man, fuck that. Junior Floyd from goddamn Little Giants. Junior Floyd led that team because hold on. Junior Floyd, they found Junior Floyd in a goddamn shoe store with his mama. And all of a sudden, asked that little boy, can he play quarterback? He had a running back. He had no offensive line. And he was chucking the peel down to receivers who couldn't fucking catch. Junior Floyd was out there doing it on the goddamn field. And he had to play against Spike. And he probably had to play some safety too because that team was fucking loaded on the other side. Them fake-ass Cowboys they was running up against, them was some 14, 15-year-olds playing against some 9-year-olds. It was some goddamn bullets. Hell no, Junior Floyd got to get some respect.
Junior Floyd is on the list because you can't argue with that fucking
Hell
sales
no.
job.
Junior Floyd was out there getting his ass worked. He was getting worked so bad, he had to let the girl go out there and do it because everybody else on the team sucked that bad. My man Junior Floyd was out there balling, and they was out there playing against steroid-injected children. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the Little Giants was like little kids. They was legit little kids. But then all of a sudden, not gonna bullshit you, they learned some schemes, they learned some plays, they was doing something. Junior Floyd probably did. If you watch that movie, Junior Floyd rushed for like 137 yards in the first half. Had to be, because they wasn't running no plays. He was just taking the fuck off. I was just like, how many times did they knock this motherfucker out of bounds after you didn't gain like 30 yards? But that's what I'm saying. Junior Floyd didn't care. He didn't care if Spike was out there. Spike was a 6'2", 210-pound sixth grader. All right. He obviously failed some grades because that motherfucker was huge. He played quarterback, running back, safety, linebacker, defensive end, and I'm pretty sure he played kicker too. Spike was everywhere. So,
Junior Floyd. All right, so how we rank these ones? We got Shane Falco, Joe Kane, Willie Beeman, Paul Crewe, and Junior Floyd.
Well, as much as I love Junior Floyd, he got to go at 5 because he's a little kid. he look, Junior Floyd, he was overcoming little football issues. Everybody else was dealing with drug addicts, Lawrence Taylor, racism, all kind of other shit. We haven't got there yet with Junior Floyd. So Junior Floyd goes in at 5.
Okay, who's 4?
I'm gonna go Willie Beeman. And I'm gonna
Willie Beeman.
He never won anything. He was a problem more than anything. Very skilled, but a problem. The only thing, my NFL comp for him is Brett Favre, a big arm gunslinger who's going to throw it to anybody down the field. It's going 60 yards, but to who?
Ooh,
so
yeah,
I got Junior Floyd, Willie Beeman, and then this is where it starts to get kind of hairy, but not really.
Yeah.
Because Paul Crewe was in jail. All right. And it's hard to get out of jail and do something good. Shane Falco was living on a boat. All right.
Joe Kane was in rehab.
rehab. So
these aren't exactly
the reason why. So the reason why I'm going to rank these the way I do is because in my mind, level of difficulty, I'm going Joe Kane, Shane Falco, Paul Crewe.
Paul Crewe, number 1.
Reason B, Paul Crewe is not only in jail, but at a certain point in the game, he had to start throwing the game again and start to throw his team because the warden didn't want him to leave jail or even win the game for that matter.
Yeah, and let's be honest, he was an MVP in the NFL, so he had to have been really good. Shane Falco, I mean, while we love him, he did have a bad game in the Sugar Bowl. Joe Kane was a Heisman candidate who had, got a Dewey and a DUI, and then had a rough go, but came back and apparently won the big game there. So I like that list, George. I do. I like Paul Crewe number 1. I think Paul Crewe is very underrated. I think, but what a team he had. I mean, he's throwing him, Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin, Terry
Crews,
and Nelly.
Goldberg. Kali.
Wasn't like it was some other MMA fighters in their own defense too. Wasn't there?
Bob Sapp.
Yes.
Bob Sapp.
And And that's another, you know what? That's somebody we need to talk about one day because, of course, he is one of those athletes I feel like he's not
He's a
talked about enough,
monster.
but you know why
He was
enough.
He was massive in Japan because like he was a larger than life, just a human being.
He was my size, he was all muscle, fighting.
He was bigger than you, I think. He was like 6.
We probably about
at least I don't know. Like I think he was around 6'6".
6'5", 6'6". Let's see.
He was 6'4", but he was like 6'4". Yeah, 6'4", 320, just muscled up.
Yeah, and I like gumbo, so
you know, like yeah, he was a guy who was a big star, and a big star, and then what are we doing? A big star, and then he but he didn't have the stamina to fight MMA. Like he blows wad. But somebody here said Mike Winchell, Friday Night Lights. Yes, again, but he's a real person. That's the
only thing.
That he's a real person. And he also mentioned Bobby Shea, the water boy. If we're doing probably best defensive players at some point, Bobby Boucher is probably going to be on the best fictional defensive players because I think there's a number of those.
There's a few. There's a few.
There's a few. I mean, I think Shark from the Any Given Sunday probably fucking wins number one because he's Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best defensive players in real life, and in a movie because at no point can Lawrence Taylor be bad doing anything. Lawrence Taylor is
he's bad doing a lot of things, but on a football field, that guy is like
do no wrong.
Yeah, he was a monster on the football field. Off the field, he was a monster too. He was a little wild. Did have a good WrestleMania match though. Against Bam Bam Bigelow. It was funny to hear the story from that because Lawrence Taylor is an NFL football player, and Roddy Piper said, "I watched Lawrence Taylor come back, and he was gassed, just completely. They had to carry him back." And this is a guy who's like an NFL, like he was an athlete, but like thank God he had Bam Bam But George, here are some honorable mentions. Eddie Martell, who was the QB that Shane Falco took his job. He was an All-Pro. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. So he should be on the list. You mentioned Johnny Utah. Jack Rooney.
Eddie Martell reminds me of Vinny Testaverde because the kid is coming. It's only so much you could have been at one point in time. The kid's here already. We got to move
on. Jack Rooney, Cap from Any Given Sunday.
Yeah,
Cap was a good QB. Obviously, the West Moxon and Lance Harbor are both on the list.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So honorable mention list. So there's some good ones, but I like the list. And you were passionate about Junior Floyd, so I can't argue him at 5.
Another honorable mention quarterback that I'll put on here, fictional. Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Because I'm going to tell you right now, anybody who could chuck a steak accurately at somebody riding a bike down the street, hey, I'm going to see what you can do with a football. I'm going to just take a look. I'm not going to say you can start, but you probably can back somebody up.
Oh, see, like I had one. I tried to remember if he played. I figured he played running back. And when we get to running backs, there's a whole list. I mean, we can do a few of that, like Al Bundy, 4 touchdowns in one game. Julian Washington from what's his name? Earl Meggett. Like there's I love football movies.
Yeah, so football movies are definitely something that you can kind of go deep off into. We can definitely kind of take a look at some of the other fictional football players that would
Yeah.
actually make a good list. So that may be what we do for the rest of the month, is kind of look into the fictional football characters.
Yeah.
And see exactly who kind of makes it into the top 5 at the end of the
Yeah.
greatest football, players in movies. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we did quarterbacks today. We'll probably do defensive players next week. And then we can kind of do skill positions the week after that. I don't know. We'll see how this actually all plays out.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it's our show. So, we'll do it that way.
But it's time to get out of here, though.
It is. It is.
So.
It's late night. I'm pretty sure y'all want to go to sleep and y'all tired of looking at my hair flop all the way over my glasses and things. So I'm good to go. From John, I know it's snowing in Canada, so he probably won't be doing very much out this week. I myself, I'm just going to take some time to kind of fix my life up and pay bills. And that's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And just kind of get some, some sports betting in. There hasn't been any sports betting since last week. Well, there's some, hockey play. There's a little bit of MMA that you can kind of bet on.
Everything's been kind of off that you would know. Like basketball's been off.
Yeah, basketball's not really coming back until Thursday, which I already set my parlays 2 days ago for the Thursday game. So, I already got those pumping. It's the best part of basketball season in my eyes, because everything after the All-Star break is literally for playoff contention for teams who aren't tanking. Sacramento. But, hey, we're here. We're going to start getting sports bets next week. I'm going to have a lot of parlays for y'all, so y'all can go ahead and get y'all some money in y'all pockets, take them kids, get them some shoes, and do all the stuff that y'all want to do with that parlay money. I'm not going to tell y'all what to do with it, but, hey, that's what we're going to have for next week. John, you got anything else for next week?
Man, I don't know. I think I'm going to probably update. We'll talk about I'll definitely talk about the MMA fight this weekend. I'll be watching that when I'll be working, so I'll have a chance to watch that. I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I like the top 5 fictional defensive players. I think there's a couple on my list that I really enjoy, and I'm pumped up. I'm going to watch that Olympics. We got the USA in the one semifinal. I believe we're playing Finland, so they're playing Slovakia in the one semifinal. We're playing Finland, so. The hope is that we see a Canada-USA gold medal. I think that's what everyone's pushing for, is just, the 2 best teams in the world. So that's what everyone wants to see. And that's what we'll be doing this weekend. But everyone, thanks for joining us. It's been great to be back. And we'll be back next week. George and I, have a good night.
Peace.